store. They are all over the place. There are relics you steal from enemies. There are relics you find in chests, relics you buy, relics that fall on your head from an apple tree and you discover gravity. It's incredibly complicated how many relics there actually are and where they are in the world. What kind of relics are there? There are some relics that are pretty simple, like the gauntlet, for example, that gives you an increase to attack power. Then there's relics that are a little more complicated, like the Gale hairpin, and this increases your chances of a preemptive attack. Already something not that complicated, but it's not directly changing your battle dynamic. It's just changing a percentage of something that has to do with combat. There's a fairy ring that protects you from poison and dark. There are these things called dragoon boots that change your fight command into the jump command. Related to that, there's also a dragon horn that lets the wearer of the dragon horn use jump multiple times. There are relics that don't seem very helpful at first, but are absolutely life-saving, like say the Zarina ring. What it does is, it casts safe and shell when you're about to die. I can't overstate the importance of that. It will save your life multiple times in really hostile situations. And of course, for the pure player, the hulking brute, someone that doesn't need to think a lot while playing Final Fantasy VI, there's just standard relics that straight up make you better. Like the Atlas Armlet just raises your fight damage. I mean, for someone who wants to be a pure warrior, that is the perfect relic to have. And I haven't even scratched the surface of how many different relics there are. Final Fantasy VI really is one of the most richest games when it comes to item and character customization, single-handedly because of the relics. Some relics just straight up troll you. Like, for example, the Cursed Ring. If the name didn't explain what it is already, this ring inflicts various bad status effects on you, which of course isn't good. There are relics that are completely unfair and make you way too powerful, especially if you're a magic user. Like the Crystal Orb relic, it raises your magic power by 50%. I mean, that's insane! Do you know how many levels you have to gain to raise your magic power by 50%? So every single character in this game, while having a somewhat predetermined class, has the ability to go beyond that class and learn completely different abilities and skills. So no one's fate in this game is really set in stone in terms of what kind of class they are, although it would seem that way at first. And on top of customizing your characters with different relics that give you special abilities, you also, of course, have weapons and armor to customize your character. And weapons and armor, of course, also change the individual stats of each character a lot, so those also affect the way your character plays, and in essence, what your character is. And sometimes relics work in conjunction with armor and weapons, as relics are very varied in what they let you do, but some relics actually let you use multiple weapons at once. So everything placates very well against each other. And going back to the theme, the setting, and the music of the game, all those things mesh very well together, just like all the aspects of the gameplay mesh very well together. Everything in this game just works, and it works beautifully. See, the lore of this game is very steampunky, but there is magic in the game, and when you first start off, very few characters can actually use magic. But by the end of the game, most of your characters become pretty savvy with magic, which fits with the theme of the game where magic is slowly reintroduced into this world. And also, without ruining much of the story, if you're into post-apocalyptic things, this is absolutely the game to play, because halfway into the game, the story throws you for a complete loop, and the world changes completely into one that's not so much steampunky and industrial, but more post-apocalyptic. The actual combat uses active time battle, and the higher your character's speed is, the faster they're gonna attack in battle. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Magic abilities work by equipping your character with Magicite. And after battle, you gain magic acquisition points while you have Magicite equipped. And the more of these points you gain, the more new magical spells you learn. On top of that, you actually gain stat bonuses while you have Magicite equipped when you level up. But that depends on the Magicite you equip. It's all very complicated and technical. I mean, this game has so many customizable RPG elements, it's almost overwhelming. No, not almost overwhelming. It basically is overwhelming. Towards the end of the game, there's still gonna be magics and equipments you haven't even tried yet. Final Fantasy VI is one of, if not the greatest RPG of all time, but it has been lucky enough to be recognized as such. The game has done incredibly well. Everyone knows about it. Most people have played it. Every single reviewing organization in the world basically gave it nothing lower than a 90 out of 100. It has been ported to everything from the Game Boy Advance to the PlayStation Network, and it has seen wide success on every